Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for watching. Today is the top 10 reasons why I love Marie Kondo and the KonMari method. And if you didn't check out yesterday, I did a video explaining kind of a little bit of an overview of the philosophy, and I really also explained how it kind of came into my life and why it's so sort of near and dear to me and how it fits into my story. And again, hello, my name is Jamie. I am the J in JLOVES, where I share all the things I love, because if I love it, I'm thinking maybe you could love it too. And of course, sharing is caring, because who knows if it really, something really changed my life, which is this process. And I get really excited. And so my poor daughter, she's heard me tell the Marie Kondo and the KonMari method to lots and lots of people that I've run into for different reasons, and a lot of them have been excited about it. So that's really why I share, or I've been sharing on JLOVES, is because you just never know who might find it helpful and interesting. And like, do you guys like my crazy color nails? It's the JLOVES colors, except for this is supposed to be kind of green. I need to find a green color, but yeah, it was just kind of fun for that. Okay. Anyhow, about the top 10 reasons. Okay, so I'm going to go in somewhat order of importance, and let's get started. So number 10, so not to be morbid of any kind, but the hard truth is that if I believe that the Marie Kondo and the KonMari method is really important for kids, teens, and adults, right? I really think it's super special to get teenagers understanding and living this philosophy so young, because if you do this young, you're going to take so much benefit for you moving forward in life. It's not just about the things, because maybe as a teen you haven't collected a whole lot of stuff, but believe it or not, you might already start to be collecting a lot of photos on your phone, files, just those kinds of things. And again, if you start to learn this process, you're going to have, I feel like, so much happier and better life moving forward. So for teens, if you're watching this, please consider, listening to the videos or getting the audio book and or the course. I think it really can make a big difference. And again, when Natalie and I are going to go through this together, so you're going to see an adult and a teen. But I will say, for the adults, for my age, okay, the 40 and above, listen, someone's going to need to deal with our stuff, our things, right? And it's not going to go anywhere. So if we don't deal with it ever, at some point someone's going to have to deal with it. And I will say, as someone who has never known my real father, and I lost my mother at a fairly young age, at least younger, was an adult, but I wasn't how old was I was maybe 28 or 20, I don't know. I was youngish, right? When my mom passed, it was not expected, okay? And having to, of course, deal with all of that absolute traumatic situation with those feelings and emotions and all of these things, and funeral services and the expense of funeral services that you have no idea. I mean, it was really the first death that I ever dealt with, and it was my mom, and I can tell you that having to deal with everything that came with just, the fact of losing her and trying to figure everything out with that, if she had also had a house full of belongings that she hadn't quite dwindled down to her favorite items, and I was left to figure that out, I mean, it would have been even that much harder. I don't know if I would have had the time off. I don't know if I would have had the energy, the time, the emotional stamina to be able to deal with that. And, and it would have, and I see a lot of situations where people, like, they lose a parent and they can't, it's just, they have so much stuff, they can't deal with it. They don't even know how to start. They might not have the time. They have to just get someone to deal with it, do something with it, like all of a sudden, very quickly. And that's a sad place. So while we're here, and I know this is a heavy topic, that it gets lighter, the rest of this, but you know, I know some people that are older, like me, my age, or even older, and they just have an enormous, overwhelming amount of belongings, okay? And it's just the way that we've lived. It's just American society and things like that. But I promise you, you can do this, and Marie Kondo makes the process so that it is doable in a relatively quick amount of time. It's amazing. You will feel so much better. And you can do it. You really can do it. If you've tried it before, all kinds of different ways. If you have not tried the Marie Kondo and the KonMari method, then you haven't tried this method. And she's literally brilliant in the philosophies and how to get it done. And there's people that can help you. I can help you. I'm a trainee, a consultant in training, so contact me. But you can do it. And again, we just have to think about, if it's not us, then who? Or are you planning on thinking, you know, hey, if something happens, you're going to tell your kids, listen, I know I have so much stuff, just hire someone to dump it all? I don't know. So I know that's a heavy topic, but it is something that is really important, and we do need to think about it. All right. Moving on to lighter stuff. Okay, number 9, dwindling down our things to things that only spark joy for us allows us to be a lot more nimble, so we can move about. So, you know, times these days are, we don't know what's going to happen, right? And we may want to just up and move to Hawaii, or we may, you know, downsize to a degree where it's like, hey, it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to move into family's basement. And, you know, that's actually something I'm considering now with my family. But dwindling down our belongings to only the things that spark joy allows us to be a lot more nimble. Number 8. So when we are able to thank things that we have, but allow them to move on, right? That there's a good chance that we're going to be so much, we're going to give so many blessings to others in ways of our donations. And so that is really special. And, you know, on the spiritual side of things, belongings and things, I feel, and Marie Kondo does too, is that everything has a spiritual vibe and energy and connection to it. So even things, physical things, don't really want to be unused, okay? Like, they want to be of service. And so when we have things that are just in our space, to be in our space, when somebody else, that could be such a big blessing for other people. So, you know, going through this process really does allow for that. All right, number 7, this is amazing. There is a good chance you're gonna find some money through this process. And I know of several stories where I've heard this to be true, and it has been true for me as well. There was a piece of jewelry that I thought I misplaced through, like I mentioned before, we had moved around a bit, and I just hadn't seen this one piece of jewelry. I thought I might have lost it, and sure enough, through the process, I found it. You might also be somebody who used to hide money or jewelry in books or something like that, and you know, going through this process, you're gonna find, there's chances you're gonna find some money. So that's, hey, who doesn't want to find money, right? Number 6, so this process, out of all the things that I've been through in my life, has us looking at the shadow work of things that we need to deal with for ourselves in a humongous way. And what is shadow work? It's basically like, and honestly, I don't know a lot about this topic, but my thoughts are that with shadow work, we're really looking at deeper, challenging areas, okay? And so you're thinking, how can tidying up, you know, do this? And I'm an emotional person, and I'm also really sensitive, and there has not been a more emotional process than going through the tidying festival that Marie Kondo and the KonMari method takes us through. And you'll say, okay, well, why is that? It's just things. And no, it's so deep. It's crazy how deep it is. The two biggest things I think will come up are well, it's based on fear, right? There's a lot of things that we keep based on fear of two things. Fear of money is actually a big one. What I purchased this, I might need it in the future. I haven't needed it for 10 years, but I might need it in the future, and I don't want to have to spend and go buy this again because I may need it and I paid money. So basically, you know, if you really start to dig deep, it becomes a fear of not having enough money if you really truly did need it again. Like if you don't need this now and you haven't needed it for 10 years, then maybe you should thank it and allow it to move on and let someone who needs it or believes they think they need it through donations, and then have the courage and the knowledge to know that if I need this in the future, I will purchase it again. So this fear of money, and that comes up, oh my gosh, it's so serious. It's so serious. I can't even describe what the things that you'll go through when you go through this, but we'll do it together because we're going to do it hopefully together here on this channel for the month of March, and maybe it goes into April because it's a lot to do. And again, I don't know how we're going to do it exactly, but I will tell you it's a big deal. So fear of money, you know, we bought these clothes that we didn't, maybe we ended up not wearing them. We didn't like them, or they don't fit or something. It's like, okay, well, why can't you thank it to move on? It's like, well, because I paid for money for this, and maybe I can get 20 bucks for it, or maybe I can get 10 bucks. Like a fear of money is a thing that comes up. The other thing is a fear of a connection of love. So when we're dealing with our sentimental items, it's like, hey, why are you holding on to, you know, these t-shirts that, you know, from way back when, this was, you know, my long lost friend that, you know, we're still friends with, but I just love it. And I feel bad if I don't, you'll keep it forever because they gave it to me. I mean, I don't wear it and I really don't like it, but you know, they gave it to me and blah, blah, blah. And so we have these fears towards these sentimental items, and understanding and getting through some of those. It doesn't always mean, you know, donate and get rid of those. It never means that. The Spark Joy process is about really learning and understanding what truly sparks joy. And if it doesn't, thanking it and allowing it to move on and feeling comfortable. So sentimental items is the thing that is the category that is done at the very end because it is the most challenging. And I will say a lot of things come up emotionally and spiritually, come up, and it's really something. Like a lot of stuff came up for me that was just wow. Like I couldn't believe the amount of things that came up for me, and it was really hard. It was really hard, and I'll share when we get to that part what it was and how I got past it. So shadow work, number 6. Number 5, future frugality. So when you go through this process, we're all going to obviously see where we've spent a lot of money on a lot of things, right? And when we dwindle down to the things that really spark joy, it's going to naturally make us think about the things that we purchase next, right? So if you're someone who buys a lot of clothes, but maybe you don't always wear them, or sometimes you don't even like some of the things, you end up, and then when you go through the process and you realize, man, I keep buying the same sweaters or the same this or whatever, and you dwindle it down to just the ones that really spark joy and that you love, you know, you might not be as fast or as quick to buy a couple more sweaters. You're really going to take it in. You're really going to say, what do I want to allow into space? And then that joy spark muscle that we've now grown and hardened, that we're familiar with, we're going to be looking at it with things with that eye, and spending money on what we want to versus just some automatic process is really big, because then we can grow our money and get to spend it on the things that really make us happy and joyful. And hey, who doesn't want to do that? So that is a huge benefit that, you know, I think people miss, is that it's not about just the things here. This is for our future. You really look at your future in a completely different way, and it's amazing. Number 4, you're going to have more physical space for the things that we find to be joyful. So as in this photo, as an example, so I don't know what's on that bookcase, but let's say that guitar or whatever. If you have a lot of belongings, but there's so much that, you know, they kind of got squeezed into closets and things like that, and you know, they're in boxes and whatever, like when you start to dwindle down, thank the things, let them move on, and you are only left with the things that really spark joy, you have the physical space to place them in places that really spark joy for you. And I'll give you an example. Like, I'm into arts and crafts, right? But if I have bins and bins and bins of arts and crafts, then, you know, and some of them I really, you know, I haven't used it in a long time, but, you know, it's just, you know, maybe I'll use it one day, and it's just kind of sitting in there. Well, what happens is the things that I would really love to use on a regular basis, you know, crafty wise, I can't see them. I don't have the space. So they're all kind of piled together. Well, when you've released that and you thank the things and let them move on, and now I can get and see physically, I can see the things that I really love and enjoy. So physical space. Number 3, this is huge. So we're going to our top ones, right? So number 3, the mental and the spiritual space for us to spend our time and energy on more joyful things and events. So when we have our space with only things that spark joy, right, it naturally breezes out this space, right? Because I truly believe that all items carry an amount of energy and a vibration with them, and it can get very heavy when we're carrying around and have things that we don't need or use a lot, you know, and spark joy, and it makes the space heavy. When you lighten it up physically, it also lightens up mentally and spiritually. So when you're in your room or your living room or your bedroom, you might naturally pick up, you know, the one or two books that you've kept and take a look at it again. You know, your arts and crafts, instead of having like boxes and bins of everything, you might be able to see your painting area and pull that out and just start painting. It's just an amazing thing. And of course, like the events in space that we can do, that's our time. So again, this is all about our future and choosing joy. Number 2, finding joy sparking homes for all things. So one of the things that you'll learn about the process that you do at the end. So at first it's all about discarding and thanking and letting things move on. And then after you've done all of the discarding, so not until after you've done it, but at the end, you then are left with the only things that spark joy for you, right? And then oh my gosh, this is one of the most fun parts about it, is that the things that are left that spark joy, you find and figure out their homes within your home of how they're going to show up and live in a joy sparking way. And so what does that mean? That means, like, take a look at this jewelry. So if you're someone who has a lot of jewelry, you know, maybe you have so much jewelry that is all put into like jewelry boxes that are just stuffed, right? They're just all kinds of jewelry in there. You barely even go in the box because there's just so much in there, right? Well, once you dwindle down and you're left with the pieces that you love, well, now at the very end, you're going to figure out a way of where you want to keep these pieces of jewelry and showcase them in a way that is a really joy sparking way for you. So that might be a beautiful box with each jewelry piece in its own thing like this. Or it could be, you know, I want to see them every day. And so maybe you get beautiful hangers for your clothes, and then you take, you know, pins that you, jewelry pins that you like, and you pin them on the hangers so you get to see them regularly. Or maybe you, when you open up, you know, a closet drawer or something, you get a beautiful item that lays out all of your jewelry so that every time you open it up, it just shows, and it just sparks your joy every time you look at it. And it's one of the most fun parts of the entire process, is finding a joy sparking home and a way to display the things that you love in a way that's going to make you like intensify that joy and that love every time you see it. So it's super cool. And then last but not least, just like the book says, the life-changing magic of tidying up. And it starts this whole thing where joy becomes second nature over time. You do this with, you know, you find out what makes you happy, what sparks your joy with your physical belongings, right? You learn and you end up living in only things that really spark joy for you. And you end up carrying that on in every area of life. Your friendships, your relationships, your jobs, the tasks that you do, the work that you do. You start thinking, hey, I only want friends that spark joy. If I got friends that make me feel bad all the time, you start saying no to that. You start figuring out with work, what do I really love with work? And you start being able to move your life into an area where all things in life just start sparking joy, and it is absolutely amazing. So yay, it is so exciting. I'm excited for us. We're going to be going through it together. Yay, yay, yay. Come back tomorrow. We're going to go through the 6 basic rules of tidying from Marie Kondo and the KonMari method. And she shares and talks about this on her YouTube channel, on the website, and things like that, but we'll talk about it a little more together tomorrow. And so that is all. Thank you all. I love you. And yes, let's continue this next month or 2 months and get to learning what sparks joy within all of us. All right. I love you. I hope you guys are doing fantastic, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow. Mwah.